There's something about like Canadian markets in hockey and what I noticed in like Montreal as well, like the passionate fan base in Canada. All the messages that you kind of hear or get on Instagram about they're so happy to have a team and they can't wait to be there one day. I think that's what's special.
Hello and welcome back to Rinkside Rundown, the podcast that brings you inside the world of women's hockey, one story at a time. I'm your host, Chris Sinclair, and today I am absolutely thrilled to be joined by Abby Boreen, forward and member of the Vancouver Goldeneyes. Abby, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me this morning.
Good. Absolutely. Thanks for taking the time. Before we go and dive into everything you've done and, of course, where you are now,
Yep.
we do have a bit of a tradition on the show, and that's your origin story. So thinking back to when you first got into hockey, what was it about the game that made you fall in love with the sport?
Yeah. So growing up, I always played hockey since I was like 4 years old. My parents live on a lake, so I was always outside skating, messing around. My dad was a hockey player growing up, so he wanted to get me involved. And ever since a little kid, I couldn't get away from the rink, and I think that's where the love of the game came from, just playing outside, and then actually being a part of a team, and having a spot somewhere. And I don't know, there's something about team sports that really makes you feel loved and accepted. And yeah, ever since a young age, I couldn't keep off the ice, so here I am now.
And it's worked out quite well for you
Hmm.
considering. So that's fantastic. And I love a great story. Anytime it starts with the ODR outdoor rink, like I just feel like that's like a quintessential
Yeah.
hockey origin story, which is always fantastic as well.
Such like a well, my parents live in Wisconsin, but I grew up a lot of my time in Minnesota. But
Mhm,
it's such like a Minnesotan thing
mhm,
to be
mhm.
skating on the outdoor rink and just getting involved in hockey. So it is pretty cool story looking back at it.
Of course. Um, I want to start this conversation with talking about leadership. And the reason I want to do that is because throughout your career, leadership has absolutely been a big part of it. You have quite a resume, of course, but that also includes many stages throughout your career as a part of a leadership team. So when you think about leadership now,
Mhm.
especially considering the teams you've been on, as well as the leaders that have led those teams. No big deal. Quite some leaders that you've been on teams with.
Mhm.
Um, what do you think makes a great leader?
Yeah, that's a loaded question.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've been a part of a lot of teams and I've met so many great people along the way. And I can like hockey has given me so much in life, and a lot of it comes from friendships that I'll have forever. I think as far as leadership goes, I think a good leader makes people feel welcomed and valued and doesn't like diminish them. Their voice is always heard. They can always talk in the locker room. They like to have fun, keep things lighthearted. Because hockey is fun at the end of the day. And that's everyone should enjoy going to the rink. So I think a good leader gets everyone around them. Um, and it's the buy-in factor, right? Like
Hmm.
in order to win, everyone needs to be on the same page. So
Hmm.
I think those are the qualities that a good leader has. And a lot of the teams that I've been on, that is what I see. And it makes me be a better person. And when I leave a team, I'm like, wow, that person, like, that they touched me. Like
Hmm.
they had an influence on me while I was
Hmm.
there. And I
Hmm.
think if I can be remembered as someone like that for someone else, I mean, I think that's how we would all want it. But I think that's the main thing is like, yes, I've been on like three different teams in 3 years, and I've gone 5 years in college and high school, whatever. But it's like the people that like influence you is what really sticks out in my head.
Of course, yeah, and I guess then that begs the question that, given all of those different teams that you've been a part of, as well as your own experience as a leader at various stages,
Uh-huh.
How has maybe your perspective on leadership changed and evolved as you've changed, evolved, and grown throughout your career?
Right. So I was a leader in high school, and that's back when, you don't know much. You just show up to the rink and
Mhm.
your job is to perform, and you have friends, but it's whatever. Um and then you get into college, and then you're like, "Oh, you really need to like have discussions with the coaches, like be on the same page as your other leaders, and like really bring everyone in, and like just because I have a C doesn't mean that I'm the only one talking in the locker room." Like that would be insane. So I
Mhm.
think over time, um, I think it's just at the end of the day, it's someone that a leader doesn't you don't have to wear a letter to be a leader.
Mm.
I think that's the main thing, and that's what I've learned in like professional sports. Like everyone at one stage in their life came up to be like the best of the best in their
Mhm.
group. So we're
Mhm.
all coming from very, high places, and I'm sure a lot of girls have been a captain in their life or whatever. So when you get all that on a team, it's really fun to be around because people come from all over and bring different ideas, and it's just how we can um, move forward as a group.
Often, when you're growing up, you get advice, whether it's from a parent, a coach, a teacher, whomever it might be. And in the moment, you're like, yeah, okay, whatever. It doesn't really matter. Like, that doesn't make any sense at all. Why would you tell me that? And then in
Right.
hindsight, you're like, oh, no, now I get it. Now
Hmm.
I understand why you were giving me that advice or why you were sharing that perspective. Did you have that with like your early coaches where they maybe shared advice in the moment or feedback about whether it was a game or a practice or something that they're seeing that didn't click at in the moment, but now in hindsight you're like, yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, I would say honestly, it came a little bit later on in life. When I was at college at the Gophers.
Mm.
So my first couple years, like my first year, I was like in and out of the lineup. And for me, that was the first time that that has ever happened to me. I was like, what is going on? Um, but then now looking back at it, it's like in hindsight, my coach was just being honest with me, and like maybe I wasn't ready, but in the moment
Mhm.
I didn't see that. And it made me work so hard to get in the lineup and to prove to him that I belong out there. And so my first couple years at the Gophers, it wasn't rainbows and butterflies. Like, um, I played, but not a whole lot. But then we would have conversations, and I would just put my head down and work. And then the summertime of my junior year or sophomore year, I trained extra hard in the weight room, did all the little stuff off ice. I came back prepared. That was a COVID year, but I finally like became the player that I wanted to become.
Mhm.
And then that led me into my senior year, and that's when I started to really evolve as a player. And my 5th year, that's when I really took off. So it was like those little moments earlier in my career that I was really kind of wondering, why am I not playing? But in hindsight, I look back and I'm like, I wasn't ready to play. Like
Mhm.
that jump from high school to college was a big one. And at the Gophers, it's a top school, and
Yeah.
you gotta, if they're putting you out there, you gotta perform. And
Mhm.
did I have the talent? Yeah, but I needed to work and develop, and in the moment, I didn't see that. But now I'm super grateful for it, and me and Frosty, who's my coach, talk about it all the
Mhm.
time. Like
Mhm.
my story at the U is pretty cool. I started from being at the bottom, not getting ice time, and I worked my way all the way up, and I've never looked back since.
How, I guess then it begs the question, now that you've had a chance to kind of reflect on that journey, especially through college and going maybe having to overcome some of those challenges, of course, how
Mhm.
good does it feel to look back on that and to say to yourself, like, I met a challenge, I didn't let it discourage me, and now look at how it worked out. How good does that feel as a part of your overall hockey journey?
Yeah, it feels good. I think oftentimes, like, it's just human nature to just be like, what's happening, like, do I give up? Do I quit? What do I do when, like,
Mhm,
something doesn't go your way?
mhm,
And
mhm.
it's really taught me to just, there is a reason why. Like, just put your head down and go to work, and everything that I've done in life, um, once I set my mind to it, I'm doing it, and just kinda it's kinda how I've gotten here and why I'm in school and playing hockey. I'm just kind of a go-getter, but it took me until later years in college to figure that out about myself and that I can do it and it is possible.
One thing about your journey as well is that you grew up early on, you were a multi-sport athlete. And I think there's a
Yep.
lot of value in being a multi-sport athlete. Of course, specializing in one sport makes a ton of sense. If I were an athlete, that's probably how I would have approached it. But there is a lot of value in also being a multi-sport athlete. Could you talk about some of those lessons that you learned from being a multi-sport athlete that have carried over, of course, now into your hockey career, and how important it was maybe early on to really to not necessarily specialize, but to be a varied athlete?
Yeah. I think, sports has always been fun to me. So growing up, I kind of want to be involved in everything. And I guess over time, I learned that hockey was my true love. But, I loved playing soccer. I played softball a little bit, like U10, U12. And I think
Mhm,
it's good to familiar familiarize yourself with other things and meet other people. And there's different skills like in soccer than you would use in hockey, but some cross training is important as kids. And I think nowadays a lot of kids do hockey just from the very beginning and do a lot of training. But I think it's fairly important to get out there, have fun. You're a kid, like just do those experiences. And looking back, I'm so happy that I followed through with soccer for a little bit, even though I knew hockey was going to be my number one sport.
when you've spoken a lot about the development you went through, especially throughout your collegiate career.
Mhm.
What do you think young players might underestimate about that journey, and what advice might you give them, to maybe not necessarily make it easier, but maybe for them to be like, okay, at least I know sort of what to expect?
Yeah, I mean, every person's different, and I think the main thing is like learning how to tackle adversity and like when things don't go your way, what are you going to do? Um so if you have a plan in place and if you're determined and you kind of hit it head on, like there's no one going to be stopping you. Your only enemy is yourself. So if you
Hmm.
let that get to you, yeah, you might be in trouble a little bit, but, there's people to talk to. There's always a why behind, like, why coaches do it or why you think a certain way. So, I think just having that belief in yourself and confidence to ask questions and honestly, it's just showing up, having a smile on your face, and having fun at the end of the day, like, that is what I enjoy the most about hockey is just I have a lot of fun out there.
We've spoken a little bit about your collegiate career just prior. Now let's talk a little bit more about it. And I feel like the word fascinating keeps coming up in this conversation inadvertently on my part, but it is fascinating that you, maybe something that people don't necessarily or maybe haven't known about you, is that you also enrolled in pharmacy school throughout your collegiate career. Um, how did how did you balance pursuing that education that was clearly super important to you, which is absolutely understandable, and be able to also pursue hockey, do both at such an elite level, and again, like you said, continue to grow on both sides, academically and in terms of your education? How did you balance that?
Yeah, I think it came down to so the league wasn't started, like my first year of pharmacy
Mhm,
school. I was actually still, playing college hockey. Um It was, both efforts from the school side and then my coach at the U of M, he wanted me to pursue my career, and we just made it work from a scheduling standpoint, and then later on when the league, was announced, that was my 2nd year of pharmacy school,
mhm.
and I had some decisions to make on if I wanted to, hold off on the school aspect and pursue hockey, and then I was like, "Why can't I do both?" So then that's kinda how I got in with Minnesota and playing with them the first year, kind of was like a practice player for them, but then
Mhm,
got the 2 10-day contracts and got pulled up
mhm.
and, um, got my name out there a bit, and then from there, that's I'm like, "Well, if I can do my 2nd year, why can't I do my 3rd?" So when I got to Montreal, we worked on the scheduling aspect of it. But I think ultimately, my school has been so supportive and when I'm back in Minnesota, my professors wanna come to the game, my friends wanna be there. So at the end of the day, it's just the support system that I have in place, and pharmacy school has really allowed me to pursue my dream. But on the flip side of it, all the GMs in the league and every team that I've been a part of has supported me, and that's the only way that it has worked out for me. So I'm super grateful for that.
Yeah, my goodness. I find it overwhelming sometimes to just do one thing really well, let alone having to do both two things or multiple things as well as you've done them, of course.
Mhm.
Um, was there ever a moment? I know that you kind of mentioned or alluded to that perseverance and that resiliency and that sort of like, I love hockey and nothing's going to get in my way from doing it. But was
Right.
there ever a moment when you said to yourself, when you were looking at the options, looking at that future, where you said to yourself, I love hockey. I've loved the journey I've been on, but I really just want to focus on one or the other.
Yeah. It's definitely crossed my mind a ton, and, um yeah, it was hard for me, like, when I got drafted to Montreal, I was like, "How is this ever gonna work?"
Mhm,
There's a lot of things that fell into place onto why it worked. Um, but yeah, I think I just kinda trusted the process, and I'm a very go with the flow type person. So, if I had to make a decision on one or the other, I would have done so. But the fact that I was allowed to do both, I was like, "I'm for sure doing that." There's
mhm,
no there's no way I'm gonna stop school or stop hockey if both is still on the table.
of course. Um, Obviously, we have to talk about present day Abby Boreen, what she's up
Mhm,
to now, of course.
mhm.
Um, but before we do, I want to give maybe just a chance to reflect on your time with Minnesota, with Montreal, the impact that you had on those teams, of course, winning, all of
Yeah,
those different things. Could you maybe talk about that? I don't want to call it a chapter because I think the PWHL is a chapter, but maybe
right.
those two stops along the way, if you will.
Mhm.
Could you maybe talk about those experiences and what you learned and what you took away from them that you're applying now?
Yeah, it's definitely shaped me into the person that I am. Growing up a Minnesota kind of homebody,
Mm,
I was so grateful that I got to play for Minnesota and be with my friends and my family could watch every single game. The girls there are amazing, the coaching staff. I loved every single part of it. And then obviously winning the first year was so special. Yeah, it was kind of like a surreal feeling that I still kind of I forget about sometimes because, we're in the now and we're so focused on the present, but it was pretty special what we did in
mhm,
Minnesota. So I'm grateful for my time there. And then as far as Montreal, I have nothing but great things to say about Montreal and the staff there and the girls. I grew a lot as a person. That was my first time moving away from home.
mhm,
Um, and everyone supported me throughout my pharmacy journey there too. And I have lifelong friends, that came from Montreal, a part of that organization that I think at the end of the day that's what I'm most proud of.
mhm. Now with Vancouver, when you heard your name called at the draft, once again, different kind of draft, of course, in this case,
Mhm.
um, what what kind of or what did it feel like when you realized that you were building something brand new? This wasn't an already established team. I know that the league's still young, of course, but this
Mhm.
wasn't an already established team. This wasn't an already established market. What did it feel when you realized, oh, wow, we're building something new here. What did it feel like for you?
Yeah, it was a lot of emotions, right? Like I just took it for what it was and I'm just so grateful to be playing. Um but yeah, it was a lot and like with Minnesota we built something from the ground up there too, right?
Mhm,
So like
mhm,
I kind of know like how it's going to go and you have to build a foundation and everyone needs to buy in, but it's so fun going to a different market, and the
Mhm,
buzz around
mhm,
hockey in Vancouver,
mhm,
especially, unbelievable.
mhm,
Our rink, unbelievable. The
mhm,
fans, there's something about, like, Canadian markets in hockey and what I noticed in, like, Montreal as well, like, the passionate fan base in Canada.
mhm.
Um, so I think that has been incredible to see and all, like, signs and all the messages that you kinda hear or get on Instagram or whatever about they're so happy to have a team and they can't wait to be there one day. I think that's what's special.
Yeah, I mean, being up here in Canada, I am absolutely going to say, yeah, there's something special about a Canadian market. I've only
Yep,
been to Vancouver once. It's beautiful. Rink looks amazing, certainly on TV. So I think
yep.
that's absolutely a big part of that excitement too. When you have such a solid foundation and such enthusiasm, my goodness, it makes it easy, right?
Right?
Makes it
It's fun
easy
to
to
play at
show up
home.
to it. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
100%.
yeah. I mean, you alluded to a couple of things there, but I do want to maybe be a little bit more specific here when it comes to maybe some of those things that in going to this new market, to this new city, to this
Mhm.
new team, what maybe has surprised you the most beyond, like you mentioned, beyond the fan reception and all of those things? What surprised you the most about your experience so far in Vancouver with the Goldeneyes?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, when I moved away for the first time to Montreal, like, that was, like, a big, big surprise for me. I was like 'cause I've just been a homebody my whole life,
Mhm,
so when I got selected by Vancouver, I was like, "Okay, I can do this, like, there's n no problem. I know a lot of the girls, like,
mhm,
the move will be easy," which it has been, it's been very smooth sailing, but, like, on a new team, any new team, there's a lot of moving parts and logistics that you gotta figure out once you get to the rink and once you get there, so I think from that aspect, yeah, just building something from the ground up and, you know, having a lot of conversation on what our identity wants to be because we don't have players that, we haven't been in the league for 3 years. It's
mhm,
been 1 year.
mhm,
They
mhm.
don't have an established identity. Um, so I think it's not been surprising. It's been really fun to kind of take it for what it is and make it our own and how the Goldeneyes want to be perceived and how we wanna play. I think, like I said, it's not like something that's taken me by surprise, but it's something that I've enjoyed, being a part of the journey.
Yeah, so perfect segue because I wanted to talk about team culture.
Mhm,
And I think it's really, you brought up a good point a moment ago in that you helped to build something in Minnesota, of course, first year
mhm,
of the league. All the teams are new, but yours in that case was, of course, new.
mhm,
Now you're in that same boat again. So you have that prior experience of building
mhm,
culture, building expectations, maybe resetting expectations as well, bringing people back down to earth and reminding them that this is only year one and there's going to be tons of success. Let's build a strong foundation.
mhm.
What's it been like to help to establish that and build that foundation and maybe what's it through this process, what has it taught you? What has it taught you about yourself as a player, but as a person as well?
Yeah, before these teams were even picked, there was a lot of talk about, "Oh, they're gonna dominate the league,
Mhm,
and they're gonna do this, they're gonna do that." And it's like, "Okay, that's great," but you have to remind yourself that it is year 1 and we all came from different teams or fresh out of college or overseas or whatever it may be. Um, so once we get that group together, it is starting from square one and like how do we want to play and the systems in place and the structure from the coaches and like I've talked about, it's the buy-in.
mhm,
Um, and as you can see, like in the first half, we've been very good and
mhm,
we've been very bad.
mhm,
So I think, just learning from that, we've learned a ton, like as a team. We've gone through a lot of travel, a lot of losses, and we've stuck with it. But I think the second half, it's just the buy-in factor, and we know how we wanna play, and we got great players. So I'm really excited to be at home the second half and, you know, give it everything we got.
Yeah, it's this Olympic break is obviously really exciting for a lot of players, but there are also a lot of players and fans alike who are like, you know what, maybe we could just press that forward button right through the
Right.
Olympics and hit the ice. Do you kind of feel that too? Because you're really starting, especially of late, you're really starting to build. It's starting to feel like things are kind of coming together and clicking a little bit more, and or at least a little bit more consistently. Are you ready to hit the second half of this season and to build off of that as well?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, as of late, I think things are really going well for us and we can just build off of that. But I think this Olympics is also so cool. I have so many friends for the
Hmm.
first time ever that are going to be playing and representing their countries, and it's really special for me to see them out there and, pursuing their dreams. And so I'm super excited to be watching them. I think the PWHL has done a great job at building this kind of platform for girls to get scouted, and
Hmm.
people that maybe haven't been involved in programs are getting invites and all that stuff. So, I think what the PWHL is doing for our players is incredible. So, I'm super excited for them. But of course, I can't wait to get back in the second half.
Of course, yeah. Okay, we have arrived now at the final segment of today's show, the final buzzer segment, which is just a fun rapid fire way to wrap up the conversation. Are you ready
Hmm.
to dive in?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. We always start off with this question in this segment as well. What is your go-to pregame meal?
For sure, like pasta and chicken, but I won't lie, I'm kind of getting sick of that.
Mm,
So,
mm.
I might have to try and switch that up a little bit.
Okay, some research. Got it.
Yep.
What part of hockey still feels the most fun to you?
Going to the rink every day with my teammates.
Mhm. What's on your playlist? What is your favorite music? What gets you ready, pumped for a game?
Definitely like hip hop, rap, that sort of vibe,
Hmm. Do,
loud
do you
music.
do you have a playlist ready to go, or do you just kind of press shuffle and you know that it's never going to let you down?
I kind of press shuffle, but I like all my music. It's like from all different genres, but
Hmm.
yeah, I'm kind of like really go with the flow, and I don't really have like a couple songs that I listen to. It's just shuffle and go on about my day.
I like it. What helps you to reset after maybe a tough loss or a tough stretch, whether it's on the ice or off the ice? What helps you to reset?
That's a loaded trying not to think about it,
Hmm.
or, doing things outside of hockey. I have 2 roommates in Vancouver, doing something with them,
Hmm.
just kinda getting your mind off of it, and then once you show up at the rink, it's go time.
Yeah, I feel like as a hockey player, you're at the rink and talking about hockey all of the time. So it's nice.
Constantly.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's nice to be able to take a bit of a breather every once in a while. That's fair.
Mhm.
What has the game taught you about yourself that maybe you didn't expect?
Um, the game has taught me that, I don't know, it's very cliche, but, like, you can definitely do anything you put your mind to,
Mhm.
and it has allowed me to, I think, you really grow as a person in a team sport, and you kind of figure out who you are. Like, sport has given me so much. It's really developed me as a person, and I'm so grateful for the sport of hockey.
Mhm. What's something that people might not know about you?
I used to play percussion in high school.
Oh, okay. Did not come up in my research, so that's
Yep.
fantastic.
Yep.
If your teammates had to describe you in one word, what word would that be?
I would say joyful, um, fun, kind of just, you know, happy go lucky, I
Mm-hmm.
guess.
That's fair. Last one for you.
Hmm.
When you reflect back on being that young kid growing up in Minnesota,
Hmm.
what do you think you tell her about that journey ahead?
I would say it's really important to really build those connections and those friendships in sport, because a lot of them are going to be your lifelong friends, and it's important to enjoy every time you step on the ice and come to the rink with such a great attitude and learn a lot, ask questions, and never be afraid to, explore your dream. Like, when I was a little girl, I dreamed of playing on the Gophers, and I made that happen. And growing up, there was no PWHL, obviously, but once I learned about it, that was a goal of mine, and I reached it. So, I think a lot of things, if you set them, if you write them down, say them, whatever, they are reachable.
Ooh, profound advice and a great way to wrap up the final buzzer segment of the show, as well as the final segment of today's episode. Abby, I just want to say thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy schedule to join the show. Anyone who knows me knows that I am a huge fan, a genuinely huge fan of yours. So to be able to have the opportunity to sit down with you, chat about your career, learn a little bit more about you, it's been an absolute blast, and I'm very thankful. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it.
And And if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to like, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with your fellow hockey fans. Your support helps me to keep bringing you stories just like this one from around the world of women's hockey. I'm Chris Sinclair. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time on Rinkside Rundown.